MrAnimal Farm presents How to Set an Incubator.
Alright, so here are our fertile hatching eggs that we've collected. We've been storing them in the appropriate conditions. So basically you want to store them with the big end up, so you can kind of see this is a little more narrow down here. So it's going to be stored, or it's been stored big end up. That's so the air cell is up. What we usually do is we put a little paper towel roll or something under them so that we can kind of have them tilted each day. So we'll tilt them a little bit one way for half the day and then tilt them the other way for the other half. That helps to prevent from getting the membrane stuck in the shell. And they've also been kept at a certain temperature, so we store ours in the basement because the temperature stays about right. Don't want to get it too hot because the chick can start developing, and also don't want to get it too cold. So these guys have been stored properly and are now ready to go into the incubator. Alright, so we're going to place these bars in here. These are just to kind of hold the eggs steady. I found that for the size eggs that we have, we usually space them at about 11 pieces or spaces apart for our egg size and in this incubator. So we'll start placing these in, and we want to get them placed from front to back. So we're going to get these counted out and entered in here. And again, that will be to hold the eggs in place as we turn the incubator over the course of the incubation time period. So we're getting these set in there. Alright, count out my 11 spaces, and we're going to get that guy settled down, and next up we are ready for some eggs. Alright, so before we actually put eggs in the incubator, I'm going to make sure that the incubator's temperature and humidity are correct. So first thing I've done is I filled the incubator, and we'll look down here with water in one of the two water reservoirs. Just from experience, this particular incubator, I always fill one reservoir about 3/4 of the way full, and that keeps the humidity about right. I've got a hygrometer in here. It's got humidity reading as well as temperature reading. Real simple, small, thin hygrometer off Amazon.com. I'm going to put that in there. I've got you can probably hear it, the incubator turned on, plugged in. So I'm going to get the top settled down. And you can see here at the top, this particular incubator, this red light is going to hold steady. This means that it is not stabilized yet, so I'm going to let this sit for about an hour or so while that stabilizes. As soon as it's stabilized, that red light will start blinking. At that point, I'll come check and make sure we have the proper humidity and temperature. Alright, so last we left, the incubator was in the process of stabilizing. You can see that the light is now flashing up top, which means it's reached a stable temperature. So we're going to reach in here and check on the hygrometer. And as you can see, we've got 41 degrees humidity, which is right about right, and 99.3 degrees Fahrenheit. So temperature is good as well. These are obviously going to drop a little bit now that I've opened it up. So we're going to go ahead and get this incubator set. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to work to put the holding racks in here, and then we're going to start loading some eggs. Alright, so we've got our eggs over here, and we're going to start placing them in. You want to set them up the same way you had them in the egg trays or however else you are storing them. So we want them to be big end up. Putting some MrAnimal's eggs in first. This guy fell over, so I get him situated back up here. We're putting some MrAnimal's eggs in here first, and then we'll add in the silky eggs. And we just kind of prop them up, like I said. Big end up first, get them spaced out in here, and I just know from experience that the size of eggs that we have and the size of this incubator, I can fit about 6 large breed eggs in per row, and then I can usually, if I need the space, start to stack some silky eggs in the corners. You'll see there's a little bit of space left there at the end, so I'm just kind of putting these guys in 6 eggs at a time to start with. And I didn't mention, but I'm using a Brincia Eco 20 incubator. So you can usually fit about 24 regular sized eggs in here. You can certainly fit a lot more if you're doing silky eggs or like quail eggs or something smaller. You can see this porcelain silky egg is considerably smaller than those Moran's eggs. So we'll put those in the same way we were before with the Moran's, which is big and up. And we're getting these guys set in here. And now with the Brincia Eco 20, it's pretty simple to kind of do manual turning. You can see the corners are set up kind of like an octagon, so you're able to just flip it forward and backwards as you know every couple of hours during the day. And that same reason as you kind of turn the eggs when you are storing them is just to make sure that the membranes don't get stuck on the side of the shell, and then it's harder for the chicks to hatch. So we just got a couple more eggs to put in here, and then we will be fully loaded. One more porcelain silky in here. We've got that set. So now we've got our eggs set in here. And next up, we're going to kind of move this hygrometer up to the front so that when we put the cover back on, we'll be able to see it. I'm going to kind of position it in there. And then we'll be able to go ahead, and you can see the humidity and temperature have both plummeted. But we're going to get this covered back up. And you'll see that this is no longer flashing, so that will take a little while to restabilize and start flashing again. We'll want to keep an eye in here for the next hour or so and make sure you can see that humidity is already going back up. Make sure the humidity stabilizes. You want humidity really to be around the 40-degree range. It could go up to 50, and sometimes it'll go down a little bit, 35 range. Up until lockdown, and then for temperature, 99.3 to 99.6 range is usually pretty good during the entire incubation period. So these guys are all set up. Like I said, we're using this Brincia Octagon Eco 20. So when we want to do turning, we'll just really simply turn it back a little bit. And then you can turn it back so it's stable in the middle, or flip it forward one rotation. And by doing that, we usually do that about 3 times a day. The reason we do it 3 times a day is if you do it just twice, you usually end up on the same side overnight, which tends to be longer hours, and you don't want it sitting for that many hours on one side. So these guys will start getting rotated, like I said, about 3 times a day. We'll make sure that the temperature and humidity stabilize, and that is how you set an incubator.
For more cute animal videos and farming how-tos, don't forget to hit the subscribe button.